quietly and get some more food. I do want to welcome you to the Aller Center International Speaker Series. I'm Tara Jankowski. I'm the External Programs Manager here in the Aller Center. The Aller Center is a privately endowed center in the School of Business that's charged with the internationalization of graduate and undergraduate students, faculty, and the business community as a whole. So we do offer events such as our smaller speaker series, as well as our larger events. So keep on the lookout for some emails from us. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our speaker today, Jeffrey Adler, who's the founder and CEO of Delush. To my right. I want to let him introduce himself because that's probably the fun of his story. So listen to his story, take note of some questions because he'd like to have an interactive session afterwards. So Jeffrey, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tara. Appreciate that. And thank you, Dr. Dunham, for having Delush in here today, and Amy for holding my hand through this presentation. Amy actually is a USD grad, dating back to 2008. Strategy to deflect the nervousness on the assistant. 2005. So there we go. So I actually recognize some faces floating through here. I think I've seen you before. No? It's okay. I think I have seen you before. I see a couple faces that I think. Does anybody recognize me? Great. And how do you recognize me?
Ms. Parker's marketing class.
Okay, great. Great. Cool. What is your name?
John.
John. Jeffrey. So thanks for having us in. I definitely want to do a lot of ping pong where we just kind of Q&A and get a chance to hopefully be available to field some questions. You can make them tough questions if you'd like. The tougher the better. I understand that y'all have an interest in learning about a little bit about our story. Ripped with exhaustion, loaded plane, all sorts of bodies. Not this guy sitting next to me. But all sorts of people, and I was jacked up to the nine with enthusiasm and excitement. The purpose of the trip was to go to the Middle East, support our stores, because as many of you know, we have retail stores by the name of Delush in the Middle East. But the principal focus was to raise $1.5 million. And I couldn't sleep on the plane. I had probably at least 2 Ambiens in me. And I was, ready to get off that plane and hit the ground running, meet with investors, raise the money, take the money back to the States, and open the stores. Figured I'd be there maybe 10, 12, maybe 14 days. So November 27th comes through, 6-7 days on the ground, no success. Met with investor 1, met with investor 2, lunch 1, lunch 2, taxi 1, taxi 10, dinners, cocktails, spreadsheets, financial modeling, operating agreements, SWOT analysis, blue ocean strategies. Another week goes by. Meeting with investor 4, investor 5. Went from Doha to Kuwait, Kuwait to Dubai, Dubai to Singapore, which isn't in the Middle East. 8 hours later in Singapore, slew of meetings there, 5 meetings, 1 day. Packed my little bag. Philippines, Makati, meetings. Back to Singapore. Asked to spend 4 days in that market to spend time with 1 investor. We're in early December at this point. Picking up the phone, missed Thanksgiving, sorry, wife. Pick up the phone, sorry, Leia, my daughter, missing your birthday. Another week goes by, week 3. Investor 7, investor 8, meeting 1, meeting 10, you can do the math. Pack up my bags on December 20-ish, head back. Another 30 hours in the air. It's not fun flying 30 hours, some of you may know this. Only to realize that after $18,000 in investment, hard dollars, cha-ching. Upwards of 30 days of relentless sets of meetings, analysis, physically exhausted, in disrepair mentally. I came back completely empty-handed. Not a freaking Riyadh, not a dirham, not a Singapore dollar, not a peso, not a US dollar. Nada. So that's what it's like to be an entrepreneur. In fact, that's what it's like to be an entrepreneur. You can probably guess which of the two is I. But I get the sense here in the room, there is somewhere some pent-up desire to be maybe the next Steve Jobs. In fact, today they launched what they launched today? Was that the iTab? Correct, right? Or maybe Andrea Jung, Avon. Yes, that's you. Or maybe Mickey Drexler, Gordon Siegel, Crate and Barrel. Somewhere here, somebody wants to be a star, right? Who's the next Oprah? Who's the next Howard Schultz, Starbucks? Who's the next Kevin Plank, Under Armour? In this room, I mean, you wouldn't be here if you didn't have some desire to try to learn something about business, take that message, and apply it to your dream, because everybody's got one. My dream, well, my dream is to take on this guy. And this guy, metaphorically, of course, this sumo wrestler, represents all sorts of things, and we can get creative here. I'll keep it tasteful. This guy represents the huge market that we're up against. You know, the competitors in the beverage space. This guy represents what it takes to overcome the obstacles that are givens in being an entrepreneur. Now, when I made that trip and I came back empty-handed, we have David Copperfield here, blank, empty. There was a couple days, you know, and it took a couple days to kind of reset. But as an entrepreneur, you reset, right? That's what we do. I think it's Hill. Anybody know the book Think and Grow Rich? Well, if you don't, you should. Highly recommend it. It's equivalent of the Bible for business, in my opinion. I encourage you to get it. There's a quote in there that reads, somewhere in there, that reads, persistence is to the character what carbon is to steel. And as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, as a businessman, you get in the ring with this, you need to have stainless steel desire. And when you melt that desire, that insatiable desire, with a positive attitude, and you bring together attitude and desire, well then, eventually, this cat goes in. You can overcome. Now, in business, as I'm learning, 10 years in the ring, 10 stores under my belt in 10 years. 1 a year ain't bad. All right, it's not bad. I thought we'd have an extra 0 on that 10. Okay, I thought, okay, we'd at least be at 100. So when I came back from the Middle East and I got socked, I had to reset, and I had to remember the big picture, which is so pivotal in everything we do, right? You got to keep the big picture in mind. The big picture with Delush, our baby here, is that we've come a long way. Maybe it's not 100, but it's 10. And that's because of desire, and that's because of attitude. So if there's something that I can impart in terms of fundamental lessons through my life's work to date, those two things have been, frankly, the true currency to our business. UAE, which is comprised principally of Abu Dhabi and Dubai, to which we have now a single store. Kuwait, we have 5 stores. Bahrain, which we have not yet opened. Qatar, Doha, Qatar, to which we have 2 stores, the Emerald City. And Lebanon, and also